base plate with the oil filter mount will cause a massive oil leak and engine failure. It's very imperative we make sure this stays on the oil filter. Alright, with the oil filter removed, I'm wiping the base plate where the oil filter is set. Do a visual inspection to make sure there's nothing sitting where the old oil filter was. Due to difficulty of camera angle, I can't really show you the actual oil filter where it's set. But do a good wipe down where it's set, and do one more time visual check to make sure the old gasket's not on there. Okay. See the filter too? Okay, we have a new filter. I've already verified this is the same part number as the one that came off, and I verified at the parts store that this is the correct filter. The new gasket's in place. I do a quick visual inspection. It's in good condition. No dents, no scratches. Alright. Depending on how the filter sits on the motor, depends on how much oil I'm going to prime this with. This filter sits almost horizontal, so I'm not going to put much oil in it. The oil pump gets its first draw of oil straight from the filter, so if the filter sits vertical, it should be filled to the top. Okay, I pour some oil in there. With the clean oil poured in the filter, I take my finger. Now, through this whole process, we probably should be wearing gloves, but I'm not. We take oil and we rub it around the gasket. It should be lubricated before it goes on with clean, fresh oil. Alright, let's move this out of the way. I'm going to install this in the exact same location it came off. And I leave the drain pan in place because I'm going to lose a little bit of this clean oil. Now your vehicle, the vehicle you're doing this on, probably going to take the filter off from underneath. Lower it down. Place it against the base plate that you've already wiped off. Rotate clockwise. Hand tight. Take a rag. Wipe off the filter. Make sure it's very clean. No drips of oil on it. We don't want to mistake a drip of fresh oil that leaked during installation as an oil leak. So that's wiped off, and anything I spilled is wiped off too.
The next step is going to be to add the actual oil into the engine. We're going to do that through the top. From where we removed the cap earlier, we're going to wipe out the funnel and make sure that it's clean and free of any kind of foreign debris, and place it in.
Jeff has chose to purchase oil that comes in a gallon jug. You can also purchase oil in quart containers. Alright, once we've added, grab your rag, hold up, place it underneath here, and move it away from the vehicle.
You're going to want to make sure that you do reinstall your crankcase cap.
Okay, now we're ready to start the engine and perform some checks while it's running. Jeff, you mind starting the vehicle for me? Alright, we're ready to start the vehicle. As you can tell, we're inside the vehicle itself. Now your vehicle that you're doing this on might have a oil pressure light, which might look like an oil can or an oil pressure gauge. In this case we have an oil pressure gauge right here. And if you notice the picture of the oil can. During startup we're going to see zero pressure because the oil filter doesn't have any oil and the pump's going to cavitate for a second. That's normal, but we want to make sure within the first 30 seconds this needle moves. If it doesn't, we've done something wrong. So this is our first step in our post-oil change inspection. Alright, Jeff, go ahead and start the vehicle. And we have oil pressure. Let it run for a second. Alright, we got the vehicle running. We need to let it run for, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. You let the oil cycle and give it a chance to show if we've made a mistake. We're doing a leak check. So with the vehicle running, if you have an automatic transmission, this is a good time you go ahead and check your fluid level on that. Since we're not covering different inspection items and just doing oil change, I'm not really going to get into any of that stuff. Now that it's ran for a while, I'm going to stick my head underneath the vehicle. I'm going to do a visual of everything I put my hands on, which is going to be the filter and the plug. It looks good. Now, if you want to use a flashlight and you really want to get down there and check, this is the time where we're going to correct any mistakes. Anybody can do this job as long as you follow the post-inspection procedures. If you follow what I'm telling you now, we can catch any mistakes you may have made, and you're probably going to have a 100% success rate in this task. Okay, one more step in our post-maintenance check is a visual inspection underneath the vehicle. Jeff, tell us what you got.
We're going to be checking out the drain plug and the oil filter. The oil filter should be warm and dry, and the drain plug should be tight and dry, which they both are.
Exactly. If this was an oil change shop, the guy in the pit would yell out, drain plug dry and tight with a 5/8 wrench. Oil filter warm, dry, and tight. You're making sure the filter's warm, that way you know the oil is circulated through the filter. You're doing a visual inspection to make sure the filter hasn't leaked. You're also putting your hand on the drain plug one more time to make sure you didn't forget to tighten it. We need to check the capacity of the oil to make sure it's at the correct level after changing the oil. On this Jeep, it's clearly marked with an oil can on top of the stick. In aviation, the standard color for oil is yellow, and Chrysler's followed through on this vehicle by making the oil cap and the stick yellow. Not always true on automobiles, but once again, refer to your owner's manual for how to check the oil. But we're going to remove the dipstick. Now, I've seen lots of people do this wrong. You don't want to hold it up in the air and check it. Pull it out, wipe it off, reinsert it, remove it, hold it level, and we're about a quart low, but it should be at the top of the mark. Alright, to lower the vehicle, we reversed the order we did the jacket. We've raised one side and lift the lever, Jeff. Jack handle will drop, and remove the jack stand. And lower the vehicle. The other side is done exactly the same. Okay, it's time for the course summary. Let's go over the main reasons we change our own oil. Prolongs vehicle life, increases fuel efficiency, and it's cheaper than a shop doing it. We learned 5 facts about oil. It cleans, cools, lubricates, prevents corrosion, and cushions bearings. We discussed viscosity and its definition. We discussed selecting your own oil and using your owner's manual and a maintenance manual. We discussed tools that were used during the procedure, and you had a PowerPoint presentation that went over those tools. One thing I failed to mention during the course is the use of PPE. Safety glasses are important and should have been worn during the course because the oil could splash in your eye, especially when it's hot. And I didn't wear latex gloves because I really didn't get any oil on me, but your first time you're going to get oil on you. So a good neoprene or latex glove would be a good set of PPE. So refer to your PowerPoint presentation for other PPE that you can use. We jacked the vehicle and we properly secured it where it was safe. The biggest hazard during this is the lifting of the vehicle. It really wasn't necessary on this vehicle because it sits high enough off the ground, but on most vehicles it is. And making sure the jack stand placement and jack are in the correct location, once again, is probably the biggest safety hazard of this task. We went over oil draining, selecting the correct tool to do it, placement of the drain pan, inspection of the plug and gasket. We went over changing the filter slide 16 in your presentation. Repositioning the drain pan to change the filter. We inspected and cleaned the base plate, we primed the filter, and then we installed it hand tight only. I don't know if let me reiterate that. I don't know if I stressed it enough during the installation of the filter. You do not need to use a wrench to install the filter. It should be as tight as you can get it by hand. Now if you're a weaker person or you don't feel like you get enough torque, make sure you use a band wrench if you're going to apply torque with the wrench. Never use filter plier to tighten a filter. We learned how to add oil, and the important points of adding oil are making sure that we added the correct amount and that we cleaned the funnel before doing so. We started the engine. We looked at the oil pressure gauge. We discussed the oil light. While the engine was running, we did a visual inspection of the filter and the plug. We turned off the engine and we did our post-maintenance inspection, or as a study guide calls it, the post-startup inspection. We made sure the filter is warm, dry, and tight. The drain plug was dry and tight. We put a wrench on it one more time. When we checked the filter, we put our hand on it one more time. We checked the oil cap for security, and we checked the oil level. Okay, in your prerequisite material you'll find attached a critique. Please let me know how I did. Maybe we can improve on the course. I hope you find the course useful and I hope it saves you money. Send me an email. We can discuss questions and I'll send you answers back.